right, so this is pretty much, bar a few things that I didn't bother bringing that I don't think we really need to show through. This is pretty much everything you're going to need equipment-wise for the trip. Susie's just going to read out an item at a time, and I'll hold it up, talk about some of the details of it. We've obviously got this video in WhatsApp for you to reference later. Cool, let's get into it.
Cool. 35 to 40 litre day hike pack.
So this is Susie's. This is the MacPack one. Something like this is great. There's a few different varieties around the group already that people have purchased. The main things is that you just want to make sure that there's good padding in the shoulder straps, that it does have a waist strap that's substantial enough that you can have weight going through your hips and not just through your shoulders, and ideally a chest strap as well to help keep the shoulder straps inwards. And then that it's fitted right to you is the main things. I know I've gone through this with a number of you in store, but if you have any more questions with that, hit me up individually.
Trekking boots.
So trekking boots, I think we've spoken a fair bit about them already, yeah. So I won't touch on any more of that now.
4 Seasons sleeping bag.
Okay, so I'm not gonna open this out. I can't bother packing it back up. This is the MacPack Latitude 500 XP. So it's about that size. This is rated to about -10 comfort. Something like this will be fine for most men. Women generally need warmer sleeping bags at night. So that's where you could have something like this in line, with, I think the next point was sleeping bag liner. A thermal sleeping bag liner like this. This is the one that I've recommended in your packing list, the Cedar Summit Thermalite Fabric Reactor Extreme. Or if you're a guy and you don't sleep really cold and you'd be fine just with something like this, then just a cotton liner can work really well. But it comes down to what you're comfortable with. It's going to kill our video, but oh well. What was I going to say? Silk liners are a really common thing that people have. They're much smaller and more compact than this. The only problem is, it's not a problem. It just comes down to what you like the comfort of and what's going to help you sleep. I love cotton, so I generally just take these two because I don't need the extra warmth. I will put out there to the group, I'm happy to do a bulk order with One Planet. They do incredible sleeping bags. My next one's going to be one of theirs because I think they're the gold standard, and I can get 15% off. So I'm going to be buying one of those for myself to take over. So if anyone wants bags from them, that will be an option.
What are they worth?
I think with the discount, it's going to be about $500 or $600. Yep.
Okay, fully waterproof jacket with hood.
Okay.
Hard shell.
So this is called a hard shell, and we're going to be talking through a hard shell pants and hard shell jacket. So a hard shell is just referring to something that's going to be on it's the most outer layer that you would wear. It's going to be fully waterproof, and therefore it's going to be windproof. You want to make sure it's got a nice big hood, that it's ideally, it's not a must, but it's really good if it's got vents under the armpits. And what's the other features? Covering the waist can be really handy as well. Ideally, we're going to be in great weather conditions, and the main reason you would be there for wearing this will be more as a windbreaker than as a rain jacket. And if it's to work well as a windbreaker, you don't want any gaps to allow wind in. So something that goes down low enough is important. You generally get a size too big for this because you might at some stage be wearing your big heavy puffer jacket with this over the top. So you don't want it to be too tight because then you're compressing the down and getting rid of the insulating properties of that one.
Okay, a heavy down jacket.
So heavy down jacket, I mean, that's a very crude way of describing it because there's so much nuance with down jackets. I just don't want you to go to MacPack and buy their urban down jacket and think you're sorted, because that's not what I'm talking about. It's something more like this. So it's got a big, thick hood. It packs into something this size. So it's maybe about half the size of my my sleeping bag there. but this is really warm, and like you're more than welcome to come and have a feel of that. This, most of the time you're not going to be wearing when you're hiking, but this will be priceless at night, and it will be priceless on particular mornings or days when the weather's really rough. It might, sometimes at Everest Base Camp, people are wearing these for the hike there because we're just in rough conditions, or on the top of Kalapata or Gokyori. So it's something like this, you might only use it a couple of times on the trip, you might use it every night, but either way, you're going to need something like this.
Next is a thick thermal upper body layer.
Yeah, so cool. I'll just talk through all of the upper body layers now then. So a thick option, there's lots of different ways you can do it. What I typically do is a thick merino, which is what this is. So it's just like a merino jumper. You don't want to obviously take cotton up there. You want stuff that is got more insulating properties than cotton, but also keeps you warm if it gets wet, which merino is good for. A Primaloft or thin down jacket can be an option instead of this. So that's one option, is merino. Another option is a Primaloft or a down. Then we want to go to a medium.
Upper body layer.
So I've got a fleece, a polar fleece. This is the MacPack polar fleece. I really like it because it's got a tight hoodie. So sometimes I won't bother getting my beanie out and I'll just put the tight hoodie on. It's like a nice in between before you actually feel like you need to get a beanie out. Its polar fleece is going to keep you warm if it gets wet as well, which is really good. I suppose there's no real alternative to a good fleece. Potentially it could be a Primaloft again, but yeah, I'd say the fleece is probably the best option there.
Then a thermal upper body underwear.
So thermal underwear, really light. Definitely go merino. There's synthetic options, but I highly recommend merino because it's slightly more insulating and it feels better. So that's the upper body one, long sleeve and just long johns. Everyone uses these different. Some people will hike in these. I rarely hike in them. I normally use these as my tea house attire, and then I'll put them on if it's a particularly freezing morning, and then they become something that I use outside the tea house. But yeah, so they're important to have.
Cool. So that was the pants as well.
Yep.
And then 2 times lightweight trekking pants.
So these are trekking pants. What I've got on, I've obviously zipped off the legs, which is a really handy feature to consider getting. They're light in that they're breathable, and because most of the time your lower body's going to be warm from moving, right? And if you are someone that does get cold legs, then you just match this up with your long johns, or that's where you get into, is the next one, soft shell pants?
Soft shell insulated pants.
Yeah. Or you then start wearing something like this. This is on the heavy end of a soft shell pant. So this is an insulated pant. Yeah, this is on the heavy end. If you go to an outdoor store, you'll find lots of different options for this. If you're someone that does get cold legs easily, then potentially you will take something like this, or just go, you know, something that's slightly less bulky. Like this does take up a decent amount of space. I typically will never wear this on an EBC trek because I don't get cold legs. I'll literally just have these on the whole time and that's it. But I also get that, you know, some people will need that extra benefit. But as I said, you might choose to not take something like this if you don't get cold easily, and you might just go your long johns with the quick dry pants for those cold mornings.
The hard shell outer layer waterproof pants.
And then you can obviously, as part of your lower body system, you might go, okay, I'm definitely going to take hard shells in case it's really cold and windy and maybe wet, rainy. So you might have those. You might ditch your soft shells if you don't get cold easily in your lower body, and then you've got the thermal long johns as well if you need them. But yeah, something like this doesn't take up much space, is a really handy thing to have. If you can get some with full zip-off legs, then that way you can actually take them off without needing to take your boots off, which is a really handy feature.
Cool, then 2 beanies.
2 beanies. So a really good system is to have a thin and a thick. And And that way, if it's really, really cold, you can have them both on at once. But then you've just got the option to moderate it, like as to what you need. And then you've also got redundancy in case you lose one. Because in terms of weight to benefit ratio, nothing beats a beanie. Like you lose so much thermal, what's it called? Thermal heat. Well, like, yeah, there's a term for it. Anyway, we lose so much through our head, right? So, so having good beanies is important.
So neck gaiter and balaclava.
I normally take 2 neck gaiters. I take a lighter and a thicker one, and partly I've got that redundancy as well, because these with a beanie, you can sort of, pretty much these with a beanie work out to be like a balaclava, in that you can have the beanie coming down to here and then this coming up to there, so it's just your eyes that are showing, and then you've got your sunnies on, so you've got that full layer of barrier and protection. So I go normally merino for my beanie and neck gaiter, and then I've got a slightly thicker one, I don't even know what that material is, and then this is a synthetic that's more breathable for the days where maybe it's not super cold but there's a lot of UV and I just want to protect my skin, but I don't want something that's going to make me sweat too much, so that's when I put that on. It seems pedantic to have so many different little things, but honestly when you're up there you're not going to be thinking, oh, I wish Ross didn't tell me to get this really good rain jacket that's keeping me warm right now.
Sun hat.
Sun hat. Something like that is probably like the minimum. Doesn't have much of a rim. What Tim's got on there is probably better, a little bit more of a rim to it. You can get the ones that are more of a cap, that have got the whatever you call it, the flap that goes down and covers your neck. So they're all fine, and yeah, you just need a really good system of being able to protect your head and neck and face from the really intense sun, because up there it's unforgiving.
Thick gloves.
Thick gloves. So I've showed 2 options. These are more the extreme end or the mitten version of these. So about the same bulk, but just mittens. For someone that gets cold hands, this would be on the lighter end. So they're both the same brand, but this is just a, that's something that's rated to like -20. This is to, -10 or something. And then I think the next one's the light ones.
Thin gloves, yeah.
Yeah, so I used to only ever go with like light merinos, but these days I now have leveled up to, these are a synthetic outdoor research glove that have got the sensor on the thumb and forefinger. Actually, it might even be the other finger as well, so you can do the zoom in, zoom out. But it allows you to use your touch screens without taking the gloves off, which is really, really handy.
2 to 4 times trekking base layer tops.
Yes, so I've got merino's super great for this sort of thing. Once again, you don't want to be taking cotton into the mountains, so there's all sorts of different thicknesses of merino tops. It doesn't need to be short sleeve, long sleeve is fine as well. I wouldn't recommend a singlet, and you could even go a couple of different thicknesses if you want to. I generally run hot, so I'll go just the thinnest merino, and then I'll layer up if I'm getting cold, but I don't want my base layer to already be warm and thick. So that's my logic, but if you're generally running cold, then you might go a thicker layer. But something like that is what you're looking at.
3 to 4 pairs of thick hiking socks.
Yeah, so I think I've spoken with about socks with most of you, but that's roughly what you're looking at in terms of your thick socks. I generally take 3 pairs, and I honestly most of the time don't even use them all, because I just get in a system of using the same smelly, disgusting socks, because you're in the mountains and that's what you do. And then I make sure I've got a lot of these. That was the next one.
The next one is the merino inner layer socks.
So if you are doing the 2 sock system, one of the reasons I like it is I just have lots of these. They take up less space, and then at least I'm putting on something clean every 3 or 4 days, which is nice. So I'll generally have enough of these that I could rotate every 3 or 4 days with a new pair.
A thick and comfortable non-hiking sock.
Yeah, I didn't bother bringing that, but basically, well, I'll just quickly talk about the tea house footwear options. So what I've tried them all over the years. What I've dropped or landed on is something like this, which is a very easy to fold up shoe it's light, doesn't take up much space. And if I put a thick sock on and I wear this, one, it's great for walking around the tea house. It's more breathable than a boot, so I am still getting some breathability. But if I want to go for a walk through the town, if I want to go for a walk through the town and there's a little bit of moisture on the ground or something, I can wear this and I'm not going to have soaking wet socks. Whereas some of the specific base camp footwear that you can buy at outdoor stores, like the down booties, some of those aren't as practical if you want to walk around the town. So I just like that because it allows me to not have to put my boots back on if I'm in Tengbuche, where the beautiful monastery is, and I want to go check out the monastery, but I don't want to have to put my boots on because I just want to give my feet a rest. I can wear these. Once again, it sounds like I'm being like really pedantic about the different systems that you can use, but I've just landed on something that allows me to be comfortable in the tea house, but also another option for when I'm walking around the town and don't want to have to put on boots.
We've got leg gaiters.
Leg gaiters. So this is an optional extra. You don't need to take these. For many trips I've never bothered to take them, and for some trips I've taken them and worn them and been really grateful I had them. They are the barrier between your pants and your boots. This can be a great barrier to prevent snow from coming in if we potentially will be crossing snow for the high passes. If it's really windy, this can help keep this portion of our body warmer, because just like with our rain jacket and our rain pants, like here is where we could allow cold in. That's another area where cold can come in. So this creates the protection for that. They don't take up a lot of space. You can rent these in Nepal, so you might not want to buy them specifically for the trip, but you could get some in Nepal. But yeah, it's an optional extra. If you don't feel the cold that much, then don't bother, I'd say.
A small travel towel.
I didn't bother bringing one, but yeah, little travel towel. I don't normally take towels into the mountains these days because I don't bother having a shower while I'm up there. There are hot showers available from time to time, so you might want to take a little travel towel, but very, very, like I emphasize, little and lightweight, because you do have limited space in your duffel bags.
And then there's footwear, thongs or other comfortable light footwear for the showers. Things.
Yep. So if you want, if you think you are going to have a hot shower every few days, if they're available in the tea house, then you might want to consider footwear for that, or just or not. Some people. One year, what I did was I just took flip-flops as my tea house footwear attire, and then put socks on when I was walking around the tea house. So socks and flip-flops is always a good look. And then if I was having a shower, I had the flip-flops for the shower. So that is another option to consider.
Hiking poles.
Hiking poles, it's up to you. I'll bring mine for people to test out in future training hikes if you want to just see how it feels. I personally don't use them. I like having my hands free, and I'd say about 75-80% of people that have done trips with me haven't used poles. So but test it out, figure it out yourself. You can rent them in Nepal if you need to. Want to.
Water purification steri pen.
Yeah, cool. So I'm going to be bringing a steri pen, which is this thing, which basically goes into, it fits perfectly into a Nalgene water bottle. I'm saying all of this because you are going to have to figure out what bottles you take, and I highly recommend you buy wide mouth Nalgene 1 litre water bottles. I'm normally not a fan of plastic, but for trips like this, plastic are lightweight. We're only doing it for a few weeks, we're not going to kill ourselves from it, but it just works perfectly well with the pre-filter system of the steri pen. So basically, I won't go through for the video now as to how it all works, but long story short, this is going to use blue, like UV light, to kill all live bacteria in the water, and it works really, really well. The pre-filter gets rid of all large particles. All I'd say is if anyone else has one of these, bring it along. If anyone wants to get one, it would probably be handy if we had more than one for the whole group. We definitely don't need one each though. Okay. So if 1 or 2 other people wanted to get one of these, then we'd definitely have enough to share around. So we can we can talk about that, and maybe if no one wants to buy their own, we could talk about pitching in and getting a few group ones that we then sell afterwards or something.
Do you leave it in for a certain period of time?
Say again?
Do you leave it in for
Yeah, so basically 60 seconds of waving the UV light wand in the water, and it kills all the bacteria in a 1 litre water vessel. Yeah, it's really cool.
What's the unit cost?
About, I think, like 150 maybe. Yeah, give or take. If anyone's interested in getting one, like definitely, it's called a SteriPen Classic. It's actually the more cheaper of the different SteriPen options. So don't get the other fancy ones, just the classic with the pre-filter is what you want.
Okay, then we did the water bottles, so 2 by 1 litre.
So you could take 2 of these. What I normally do is take 1 of these and 1 of these. But yeah, I mean, personal preference. Like, at least you would want to have 1 Nalgene wide mouth, because it works well with the SteriPen, would be the main point with that.
And then there's an insulated water bottle as well.
So it's an optional extra, but I love taking this with me because a couple of things. I use this to mix my supplements every day in it, so I'll just have that with water, but then I can also I can put hot water in this and it stays hot for hours. So to have a flask of tea or coffee or whatever you want at the top of Kalapata is priceless. This is the Yeti, I think it's 770 ml, so something like that I highly recommend.
Ooh, sunglasses that fully cover the eyes.
So this is an example of a mountaineering glasses. It's just an example, you don't have to get these. This brand is Camelon, so I think it's like a well-known outdoor brand or whatever. It's got these little wings that go here that basically when you put it on, it definitely isn't the most fashionably awesome sunnies, but it does create a good barrier to protect your eyes from the sun. Something like what you've got on, Lorraine, that's got like these big gaps around the side, is less ideal. So more of that wraparound, same with yours, Simon, like more of a wraparound is sort of what we're after.
And a spare pair of sunglasses.
Yeah, the spare pair of sunnies, like, I mean, unless you've already got another pair of sunnies that sort of meets that criteria, just go to a chemist and get like a wraparound style sunnies that cost you $30 or something. Your better ones ideally are polarized, and that way you'll be able to see more on glary days. And then your backup ones are literally just there to draw on if you've broken your glasses or lost them, because you can't function up there without glasses. Yeah. We'll talk about that outside the video. Actually, have a chat with Suze because she's looking into that.
Sunscreen.
Sunscreen, yeah. Sunscreen and lip balm, like UV rated lip balm, are priceless. Potentially even consider, if you've got your sunscreen that you like, maybe bring a couple of tubes. Don't run out of sunscreen.
Something like that, Ross, that'd be better, right?
Yep.
It just covers it all the way
In
there.
terms of a wraparound,
Yeah, that's enough?
should be. I mean, put it on your head.
Yeah, it cuts out right here.
Yeah.
Feels like there's no light coming in from the sides.
Yep, I reckon that's pretty
It's
good.
enough?
Yep.
Okay.
Awesome.
Okay, 5 to 10 pairs of comfortable quick dry underwear.
I don't think I need to demonstrate to show you the underwear side of it. Yep.
Camera and spare batteries and memory.
Yep.
Travel micro camera tripod.
If you, like most people just use their phones these days, I'm going to have a GoPro for video. I think Katrina says she might be bringing a GoPro as well. Yep. If you're bringing that sort of tech, just make sure you've got something to waterproof it if it's not already waterproofed, and something to charge it. So a power bank, I know, is one of the things in the list as well.
Yep, waterproof case.
A good
local.
big power bank is worthwhile having.
And then you can get a local SIM card for the phone.
Yep.
Up there. Yep. Is that something you can get here or?
No, so the SIM, if you want to get a SIM card, that's just something you'd sort out in Kathmandu, and I can help with that.
And you can get eSIMs as well.
Yeah, this new thing that I've
What's
just
that?
discovered.
It's it's not a physical SIM. It's just something like a code you get online.
Okay. Okay.
power adapters. What's the power point cycle? Is there electricity?
Yeah,
for
so the only way you're going to be able to charge up in the mountains is going to be the power banks. We can get charged at a fee through the owners of the tea houses that we're staying at. The best way to do that is to just get them to charge your power bank. That way you're not leaving all your expensive tech behind the counter at the one power point at the reception, and rather you're just giving them your power bank. So that works really well. I normally take 2 power banks. So I've got one that I'm using and one that's getting charged. So something like that generally works well. And then obviously in Kathmandu, just have a look online at what the adapter thing is for Nepal in terms of being able to plug your stuff into charge in Kathmandu.
Then we get into the wet things, the wet wipes, sanitary items. There's head torch and batteries.
Yep. A head torch is just something like that. Yeah, like that's a must. You have to take that and make sure you can just bring enough spare batteries for that to last the entire time away. Most of these just take like double or triple A that aren't rechargeable, so you just need to bring enough batteries with you.
When are we using that, Ross?
Sorry.
When are we going to use that?
So basically, just getting around the tea house at night is when you'll use it. There may be lights in the room. Often, if there is a light in your room, it's really dull. So you actually want to see what you're doing. You just have this on, but also just walking around the tea house at night. If you're going to the bathroom or whatever, it's just handy to have this on. And Kalapatar, if we do sunrise going up Kalapatar, you'll be walking at night, so you're going to need this for that. So you don't need to get the best one in the world, but for about 80 to 100 bucks, you should be able to get a pretty good black diamond or Petzl head torch. That'll be more than good enough for you. The optional extra is to get a hand torch. You don't need it. I like taking these for when we are doing our walking at night because I can see a lot further pointing this than I can with that. So it's more just for wayfinding. It's not an essential, but if you're like me and you like your torches, then something small like that can be handy.
Personal first aid kit.
Yeah, we'll talk about first aid kits later on.
Your prescription meds, toiletries,
Later, yep.
hand sanitizers, shampoo, conditioner, body wash.
So I normally take a couple of these hand sanitizers because I have this in my pocket and I use it all the time. Normally I don't in Australia, but when I'm over there, when I'm in the mountains, I do not want to get a stomach bug, so I'll do whatever I can to avoid it. I highly recommend having multiples of these.
Okay, then it's your spare glasses, your snack foods, supplements.
Food sups we'll talk about later.
Micro repair kit, zip
talk-
ties.
Yeah, so I'll go through that in a bit more detail later, but it doesn't need to take up heaps of space, but a little repair kit, needle and thread, some spare buttons, shoelace and things like that can be handy.
Dry bags, waterproof.
So the duffel bags are water resistant, they're not waterproof. If we're traveling in shitty weather for a day or two, those packs are going to be in the elements when our porters are carrying them around. So a good system can be, not everything that goes into your duffel will need to be waterproofed, but certain things will, like your sleeping bag liner, all of your clothing will need to be. A couple of ways you can do it. You can have a big dry bag like this and everything goes into it. I don't really like that system anymore because it's just harder to find stuff. Instead, I just have a bunch of these, and I've got, the red one is the one that all of my, head, neck, gaiter, gloves and stuff goes in, and then you have your other one for something else. So they can be handy. You can generally find these online on like your eBay type stores or Amazon type stores and get them pretty cheap. If you don't want to go out and buy heaps of stuff like that, you can just get heaps of Ziploc bags from the supermarket. They're obviously not going to last as long, and it's a bit more wasteful in terms of it not being reusable, but if you just don't want to go out and buy heaps of dry bags, then that's not a bad option.
Okay, then we've got watch with an arm.
Yeah, we won't talk about that now.
And we're getting down to just entertainment, deck of cards, small book,
Yep.
music.
I'll leave all of that for now because that's all not really essential stuff. I'll just quickly talk about Was there anything else?
I know
Pee funnel?
plugs, hand foot warmers, pee funnels.
Yeah, the hand warmers. Does everyone know what I was talking about? The hand foot warmer options. That's like this pad. You break it and it starts producing heat. You can put it inside your glove. I wouldn't recommend putting it in your shoes. So let's just ignore that part. That's not a bad idea to have a handful of those. I normally have those in an emergency first aid kit for the group that I carry. So you could consider buying some of those from a pharmacy if you're really worried about your hands. Pee funnel, was that? Yep. So someone asked about how does it work with going to the toilet during the day. Tea houses at night, mornings and stuff, there's either going to be a Western toilet or a drop toilet, like a squat toilet, and there will be toilet paper and all that sort of stuff to be able to make it go smoothly. I'm a big fan of taking a pee bottle because you will go to the bathroom a lot more at altitude. And at night when it's freezing cold outside and you're in your sleeping bag and you want to go to the toilet, most of the time what most humans do is they delay it. And they go most of the night not sleeping well because they don't want to get out of their sleeping bag to go to the bathroom. For guys, it's really easy to have a pee bottle. And as long as you master the techniques so you don't pee your sleeping bag, that can be a really valuable tool. Just don't mix up your pee bottle with your water bottle. For females, not as easy, obviously. The pee funnel thing is a thing. It can be very handy for if you need to go when we're out and about and there isn't a toilet during the day between restaurants and tea houses. So consider that. Because that's generally the way it is when we're not around a building, is just like right now. If you need to go to the bathroom, what do you do?
Have you had people on hikes using them? Have you had in past hikes?
Yeah. Yep. Yes.
Okay.
Yep. So no, it's a common thing. So consider that. Consider the pee bottle, and also consider a pee funnel. Great conversation. That's but important to have.
Yeah.
I think that's it.
That's it.
That is it. Awesome.